on your screen.
So when we record, do I want to record to the cloud or do I want to record to the computer? Does it matter? If I record to the computer, I'll just send
to the computer.
Yeah, probably to the computer.
I think so.
Well, that's what I've done.
At the very end, it'll give you a link.
What did you say, Eileen?
At the very end, it'll give you a link, and then you can send that to Maris or Trish or me to upload for the podcast.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're just going to wait maybe another minute or so before we get started. So I read an interesting book this summer called The Vanishing Half, about twins. Oh, you've heard of it, Tina? Yeah, twin girls, very fair-skinned, light-skinned black women, and one decides to pass, and the other one decides to remain, true to the culture. And so it's just interesting how their lives change. Anyway, it is about 4 after 9, and I do want to get started. My name is Carla Chenault, and I'm a member of Impact 100 Metro Detroit. I've been a member now for about 4 years, and this year joined the board. And I'm happy to be able to host this coffee and conversation on behalf of our president, Kelly Walsh. So thank you guys for being here this morning. We actually do a book club through the organization. So we have a new one starting up in October. We're going to be reading Melinda Gates' Moment of Lift. I don't know if you've heard of this one, but Amy Bogue, our past president, is going to be leading that book discussion. It'll be a 4-week book discussion that starts in October. So if you're interested, be sure to register. There's a link on our website. So, as you may already know, the mission of Impact 100 Metro Detroit is to bring together our collective finances and resources to fuel transformation in our communities by granting $100,000 awards to local nonprofits who are making a difference in people's lives. And this year, for the first time, we were able to give an award to each of our 5 finalists. We gave 2 $100,000 awards and 3 $17,000 awards. Ultimately, our goal is to have 5 $100,000 awards to give to each of our 5 finalists. And certainly we invite you to join us in that goal. But today, we are celebrating our 3 finalists, Tina from Accent Pontiac, Cindy from Brilliant Detroit, and Larry from Life Builders. And so we've invited them today to share a little bit about their mission and their work and how they've come to do what they do. It is a coffee conversation, so it should be relaxed. So if you have a question or comment, feel free to unmute and join in. Lil, who is a fellow board member, is a co-host this morning. Thank you. And she's going to be keeping an eye on the chat. So if there's anything that comes into the chat that you want to ask that way, she's going to be paying attention to that. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our guests and allow them to tell us about themselves, what they do, and we'll get started. So why don't we kind of look at it somewhat alphabetically. So we'll start with Accent Pontiac, move to Brilliant Detroit, and then move to Life Builders, kind of in that order. So Tina, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization?
Sure. And I'm not sure if anyone noticed, but Zoom froze on me and kicked me off. So I kind of missed the introduction and just joined. So Carla, feel free to redirect me if I'm not following the exact prompt that you gave. But hi, everyone. I'm Tina Rowan. I'm the Executive Director of Accent Pontiac. We are a social change through music program in Pontiac, Michigan. So excited to be partnering with Impact 100. So grateful for the support of you all here and excited to spend this next hour with you chatting about what Accent Pontiac does and the other partner organizations. So again, we are a social change through music program in Pontiac, Michigan. We partner with the Pontiac School District. We work at 2 different elementary schools within the Pontiac School District to provide free, accessible, barrier-free music education to students in Pontiac. Pre-pandemic, we were in the schools doing 4-day-a-week programming during school and after school, offering brass, percussion, woodwind instruction, as well as things like homework help, leadership activities, and just performances and field trips and a well-rounded musical experience for students in Pontiac. And have transitioned a little bit in the past year due to the pandemic, not hosting programs actually in our school partners, but hosting programs in the Pontiac community, in the neighborhoods where our students live, with partner organizations within the Pontiac community to ensure that we're still staying connected with our students and families. So that's kind of the overview of what we're doing. So I'm happy to pass it off to the next person. Or Carla, if there's anything more you'd like me to share at this time, let me know.
Thank you. Yeah, Cindy, do you want to jump in?
I do. And so, hi, Tina, and I appreciate being here with Tina and Larry too. I really value your work, but I just also want to say I'm a huge fan of Impact 100. I have been since you were started it in Detroit. And so this is a particular honor to be here because I think women coming together to really lean in deeply, it's not just about the funding. You guys really do this with such excellence and I'm in awe. So I really appreciate that and want to say that. So Brilliant Detroit really is an organization that exists to create what we call kid success neighborhoods. Neighborhoods where kids and families have everything they need to be successful in life, belly to 8. And we do that by repurposing a house in the middle of neighborhoods where we bring in over 100 evidence-based programs that support people through that trajectory. We have programs for kids and adults only. Bottom line is we want to make sure that zip codes do not predict a child's future, and today they do. Today, if you are in certain zip codes, regardless of a number of things, it usually predicts whether you're going to be successful in life or not. We don't want that to happen any longer. I think the most important couple of things that I want to tell you is that this is done within community and with, for, and by community. We do not go into any neighborhood unless we're invited in. We hire from the neighborhood, and the neighborhood is really part of building what matters. In less than 6 years, so we're at 5.5 years, we've grown to have 12 locations across the city in every district in the city. We serve over 7,500 people. Importantly, our impact measures show that we've been able to raise grade level reading, 3 reading levels. We also have been able to show outcomes in health and family support and parenting practices. From a third-party evaluation, we've shown significant increase. So we're just delighted to be here with you. I also want to say that our model, and what I want to say to each of you and anybody you know, is made up of what we call neighbor to neighbor, regardless of zip codes. Regardless of zip code. And the reason I say that is it's going to take all of us to combat things like a 60% poverty for kids under 5 in the city of Detroit, which is 3 times the national rate. And it takes, I'm hoping, each of you. So volunteers are a big piece of what we do and how people can step in and not say, this is Brilliant Detroit's, but this is my effort together. And so I'm just honored. Larry's gonna, I know, go next, and we're looking to see what can we do together. At some point, we're always running around, but I just want to say thank you for having me here.
Well, Cindy, thank you for the nice segue to life builders here. And by the way, I heard you say that you like to go places where you're invited. Consider this an invitation to come and join us in the work in our community. Carla, I really want to tell you how much I enjoyed having you out. You know, the other day, every time somebody comes out to see the scope of our work, and I drive around the community and have an opportunity to share what's happened in the last 16 years. I'm a little overwhelmed myself to think about where we started in 2005 and where we are today. When I see, you know, the 80 properties that have been restored, the new park, the early childhood education center, the summer day camps that are conducted, you know, at the park that we've restored in the community, the plans that are now evolving with the Gratiot 7-mile framework planning of the city, and then the way that we were able to quickly adapt or pivot, if you will, you know, to help meet pressing needs in the community as the pandemic, you know, evolved, and keep people in their homes and keep hope alive, you know, over the course of this last 18 months. It's been just very exciting, very moving for me just to see what's happened and to see the reception and impact that we've had in families' lives, children's lives in the community. So Carla, thanks for coming out and causing me to take, again, a tour around the community to see actually what's been taking place there. So I think that, you know, it's great to be a recipient of the funding or grant that Impact 100 has provided to us. Personally, I think the real benefit that we're all going to see from this, you know, is the networking that takes place, you know, as each of you are moved in some way, you know, to join our respective efforts around the metropolitan Detroit area, you know, and help us in our work, because everybody will be touched in a different way by different works, which was evident in the way that your voting ended up with, you know, 2 recipients of 100,000 and 3 with 17. And I just believe that the real opportunity, the real benefit that we'll all receive over time is the fact that something's going to capture each of your hearts to the point where you are moved in some way, you know, to get involved at the local level with us. So I really look forward to that. I love the money part of it and the help that that provides, but I think there's much more to this than that.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. We do attempt to support the work that's going on because it is so meaningful, and we do want to be able to come alongside and help you in that. So one of the cool things that, you know, coming out and visiting with each of you allowed me to see firsthand the power of your work. And I'm just wondering if maybe you would share, you know, we're sitting here on the cusp of September, and the summer has flown by. Can you share maybe some of the things that you are particularly proud of that have happened for you in the last few months? And again, we don't have to continue to go in the same order, so I'm just going to trust you to jump in, and we can do this.
I'm going to just, I'll go first and then be followed by the wonderful others. You know, I think we're in a world right now that connection is really important. It's always been important. We're also in a world where the systems weren't working for people before, and it's thinking about how do we reimagine that. This summer, we were able to really lean into that much further with some of our outdoor efforts, as well as working, and this is something that you guys, your funding is going to contribute to building out resident-led spaces outside where kids and families can gather and get what they need. And so we've been really leaning into that. We've actually extended those to 2 other locations. We have increased how many people we're serving by about 20% during the summer. And in particular, one point that I want to lift up is because of virtual, the ability to also do virtual, we've been able to leverage that in a nice way to increase how much tutoring we do along with volunteers. And so I think for us, the expression, right, make lemonade out of lemons, that's really what we're particularly proud of. And I think for me, there are a number of things that we're looking for that we're getting some recognition for and some support and help for. But at the beginning and end of the day, the first outdoor gathering we had touched my heart in ways that I can't even begin to tell you. I came to the event and 2 hours early, and it was already filled with people from the neighborhood helping set up. I had kids run around my waist, like 15 of them, saying, "I've missed you so much." And I just want to say that what I'm proud of is being able to give a space for what matters in education, but also as human beings. And I think we can't forget that we need each other. So I just want to lift that up.
Well, this past summer, as I was sharing with Carla, she was able to actually see the site. We conducted our summer day camp for 80 children in the community over a 4-week period. We had tents installed, on a fenced enclosed area in the park I was sharing with you about earlier. And just to see the excitement of these kids each day, and the teen workers that we train from the community as camp counselors, to see that this summer, just it was just very moving to see how these children were just so glad to be outside, to have an opportunity to be loved on and cared for and given an opportunity, to be together that they haven't had for so long. And then to see these teen counselors just so excited about having a job and earning a stipend for the summer, and being able to participate and help with meeting family needs as a result of it. And we even have these teen workers and counselors are continuing to work right up to the point where school starts here in another week. So this summer, it's just been very encouraging to see that park come to life this summer with all these children.
Always fun to hear what you guys are doing over the summer, and feel connected to what you guys are sharing about the themes of connection in the community and of just seeing students excited to see each other. We've seen a lot of that at Accent Pontiac this summer too. For us, it has been a very busy summer, a busier than usual summer. With our program, when, pre-pandemic, we were mostly working on a school-based calendar as a partner of the schools, and then we'd do a 2-week summer program in the summer. But summers are traditionally a little bit lighter for us. And this summer was the opposite of that, knowing that with the feedback from our students and parents, what they were really looking for was continued connection, and even more connection than we've been able to offer throughout the school year, as well as consistency of having Accent Pontiac programming on a daily and weekly basis throughout the summer was something that was wanted and important to our students and families. So we were working kind of through that lens of wanting to be able to support what our parents and students were asking for over the summer. So a few things that were really fun for us. We took the opportunity this summer to do some of the things that we traditionally do during the school year, but weren't able to because of the pandemic, primarily student performances, as well as field trips. We weren't able to take our kids out throughout the year for the most part. And now that it's warm enough to be outdoors, it's been really wonderful to be able to bring our students together. We've done social field trips, non-musical, but strictly social field trips outdoor to water parks and parks in their community, just allowing our students to come back together as a community and rebuild kind of that camaraderie that they've built through the past years in our program. That was really exciting to see. and also performances throughout the community have just really skyrocketed this summer as people are able to get outdoors and be together and share a music making experience together. So we had our students perform, I would say, about 8 times over the summer in various community events. My phone has been ringing asking for students to come and play. And it's been really wonderful to see not only the joy that that brings to our students to be back out and playing and performing, but the joy and pride that that brings to the Pontiac community of being able to see their students out and about again, to be able to see the progress they've made on their instruments, even through a really challenging year. So those are some of the things that have been really exciting for us this summer.
Are there any questions or comments that anyone on the call would like to ask?
I'd like to ask Larry, what park were you in this summer? You mentioned being in a park.
I'm sorry, Deborah, I can't hear you.
What park were you at this summer? You mentioned providing your services in a park for 80 kids.
We are located in the Regent Park community of Northeast Detroit. The boundaries are 8 Mile, 7 Mile, Kelly Road, and Gratiot. In the middle of the community, there is a city park, it's Boulder Bringard Park. And adjacent to that was the former elementary school, Tracy McGregor, of which we purchased from the city many years ago, torn down, and built an early childhood education center there. And that left us with about 3/4 of an acre, of which we fenced in and held our summer day camp there.
Catherine, did you have a question?
Yeah, for Tina, sounds like a very hectic, busy summer. That's awesome news for you guys. I'm just curious with having done the shift, and I did have the opportunity to be on one of the committees that reviewed your grant. So I heard we did the virtual site visit with you, and just such a wonderful program, and how you guys were able to shift and do that, virtual training and education for the students. Have you seen an increase in interest in the program? Have your numbers remained stable? Have you seen any, shrinkage? I'm just kind of curious now that you've had almost probably way over a year of being virtual, how that's just impacted the involvement with the students.
Sure, thanks, Catherine. So for our after school numbers, those have stayed pretty steady. The students that we were working with on a really intensive basis pre-pandemic, for the most part, have stayed steady with us through the pandemic, through the various shifts in program structure that we've kind of changed throughout the year to provide the best programming that we could in the context that we were in. What we did lose throughout the pandemic was our during school programs. So before the pandemic, we were partnering with schools and doing a lot of during the school day programs. And during the pandemic, we weren't able to serve nearly as many students. We did do some virtual classes through those school partners, but it was just hard to get attendance virtually through those partnerships for the year. So something that we are really looking forward to going into next year is, we're in the midst of the conversations with the school district. The project that Accent Pontiac applied for Impact 100 was actually to expand our programming to the middle school. Now that the students that we started with 5 years ago when they were in first or second grade, they're now in middle school, and it's always been our vision to be able to follow them up as they grow up and continue to build these relationships with them. So we're really excited for the fall that we're going to be able to implement that. The details are still being worked out as the pandemic continues to shift and the school district still figuring out exactly what the protocol is going to be. But we are looking at being able to relaunch those in-school programming as well as expand the number of students that we're serving in the fall. So we're really excited for that.
So all of you have mentioned various partnerships with other organizations so that you can advance your work. And generally speaking, it would be nice to hear about some of those partnerships. But I know, Cindy, you were telling me a little bit about reading in color. Can you share a little bit about that with the group?
We're blessed, and our work is with partnerships. It's really bringing everybody together in all different ways. And one of the most recent ones that we just launched is Read in Color, and that is a partnership with National Little Free Library. And what it is it was launched after George Floyd's murder to really assure that in the middle of neighborhoods or throughout cities, that there are books available in little free libraries that represent people of color, and that they are written by and for people of color. So we are honored to have been able to launch that in Detroit, and we will be doing that at all of our sites. And in addition to that, part of that is that we get over 3,000 brand new books a year to fill those libraries. And we're already starting to run out on the ones that we have. And they also purchase many of the books from local bookstores. So it's just a beautiful effort. And how we're rolling this out is at each of our neighborhoods, we're lifting up something about storytelling in that neighborhood and ways to sort of bring that alive. So we launched in Chandler Park, where it was a launch of the location. But in our Brightmoor location, we highlighted one of our participants, who's an 8-year-old author. He wrote a book with his father, so we were able to do that reading. Another of our locations, we're going to highlight Motown books and music, because that's where some of the original Motown people are. So we really want to lift up the beautiful things in each of the neighborhoods, but really all of us coming together to have literature that represents all of us. So thanks for asking that, because it's one of my favorite things.
So are you saying that the little libraries, so the little wooden libraries that we see in front of people's homes, now you have one in front of each of your hubs, your neighborhood
We
hubs?
do. And that's always been our model, but now this is a little bit different because it's actually assuring that the books are filled in that way. And I was just thrilled this week, as a matter of fact, because these books are getting used and taken. So we had launched Morningside last week. On Monday, I was there and left at 5 o'clock. The book, Little Free Library, was empty when I came. I said, guys, got to fill it up. And when I came back the next day at 9:30, it was empty again. And that made my heart smile, because, I mean, I think here's the statistic too, just on books, everybody, that I think is hard to wrap your head around, is in a middle class family, there's an average of 17 books per kid under 5. Okay, so that's the average. In lower income neighborhoods, the average is 1 book per 300 kids. Okay, and 300 households. Now that gets filled up sometimes when there's libraries that are used, right? But right now our libraries are mostly closed. So I think it's just really great to be able to have this, because it's a really important thing to not just build literacy skills, but a love of reading. We all deserve that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Larry, you had mentioned when I was there that the city is starting now to invest in the neighborhood that you adopted. Can you tell us a little bit about, is it G7, I think that it's called, that the initiatives there?
Yes, Carla, thanks for bringing that up. I did want to mention too, we really believe that the only way we can deliver or provide the services that are needed in our communities, we do need to, like Cindy, to collaborate, with others who are, call them subject matter experts, or they just do things better than we do and have some experience in that regard. So we brought, for example, this summer, along with our summer day camp and youth employment opportunities, we brought a flag football program to our park this summer in partnership with an organization called Positive U. And Greg Jones, a former Seattle Seahawk Super Bowl champion, and brought that in and provide our kids, an opportunity to have something to do in the park this summer. And it was so exciting because, we think, well, we just got this little league going on. But, in our neighborhood, something like that draws parents out to these games, sitting in their car, bringing their chairs out in front of their car, because it's an event. It's an opportunity for them to watch, their children and to be a part of the neighborhood's transformation in it being a safer place to be, in a park that's really being used right now. But yes, Carla, I got off a little bit on a tangent there. The city just completed their Gratiot 7-mile planning, which has resulted in an initial $5 million worth of investment, that will be added to our parks in the community, to providing safe pathways to neighborhood resources, and some affordable housing as well. And we are right in the midst of that. And we're anticipating, and actually the plan is calling for continued development support for the work that we have been doing in rehabbing single family and multifamily homes in the community, and bringing to life what was the epicenter of our community back in 2005 before violent crime struck. Our rec centers were at 10 to 15% utilization. We now can look with great excitement that these are going to be brought back to life, and the folks in our community will have an opportunity to avail themselves of resources in a safe environment that have not been available, for close to 15 years. So that, coupled with the private investment that's now taking place, the fact that the neighborhood's a safer place today than it was, 10 or 15 years ago. There's great hope in our community today that there certainly wasn't years ago.
Yeah, it was really good to see and to hear about the school that's going to be a senior living
Yes.
complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the former Burbank Middle School, which was closed in 2005, is going to be transformed into, it's an 88,000 square foot facility. It's going to be transformed into a 60 one-bedroom senior apartments. That development process will begin in about 18 months, and it'll take a couple years to complete. And that will transform one large area of the greater Regent Park community. So we're very excited about that for sure.
Thanks. And so Tina, I guess now it's my turn to say what I remembered about your visit in particular was when I was talking with one of your parents, Miss Ebony, and she was, obviously thrilled to have the program. And one of her main things that, that she was wanting to tell me was that, she's never come out of pocket for anything in the years that her daughter has participated in the program. And she was just very grateful for that. And she was talking about some summer field trips and some other opportunities that her daughter got as a result of some of your partnerships. So I thought maybe you could share a little bit about how you work with others.
Sure. Yeah, I'm really glad you were able to connect with Miss Ebony, who is not only the parent of one of the students from our first cohort when we started over 5 years ago now, but she's also a staff member and works with us regularly. But what we've been able to provide for Ebony's daughter, as well as several other students in our program, are other musical enrichment opportunities besides what Accent Pontiac ourselves provide. So we are part of a network of like-minded social change through music programs across the country and actually worldwide. And so we've been able to partner with many of those organizations to provide opportunities for our students to come together with students from these similar programs, come together, make new friends, make music together, learn new things. So our students have, of course, pre-pandemic, traveled to Northern Michigan, traveled to Indiana, traveled to Chicago, and joined other students who are coming from similar programs in Detroit, in Baltimore, in Chicago, in LA. So that's been a really powerful musical enrichment experience for many of our students. And Carla, if it's okay, I didn't mention this to you, I don't think, when you visited last week, but I'd love to share a little bit more about our local partnerships as well, which is something that I've been really proud of, especially during the past year, during the pandemic, as a way that we've grown. One of, I would say, our more innovative responses to the pandemic has been launching what we called Porch Lessons. And so these have been a way that we've stayed connected with our students during all of the warm enough months in the past year and a half, where we would, instead of hosting, classes indoors at schools, we had our teachers going door to door to students who were interested in continuing, doing outdoor lessons with students. Again, when it was warm enough to be outdoors and do this. And as part of this Porch Lessons initiative, what we found is that it really helped us to build upon the already pretty strong relationships that we had with our families. But we were getting to know our parents so much better. We were getting to know the siblings of the students in our program, and really the entire families. And because of these relationships, our parents were sharing things with us about what their other needs were in the context of the pandemic. And so we were one of the partnering organizations in Pontiac's My COVID Response Network, which was a collection of leaders and organizations across the Pontiac community that were coming together to collaborate, to pool resources, to figure out the different roles that we each could take in supporting the residents of Pontiac throughout the pandemic. And so what ended up happening is we paired these Porch Lessons with wraparound services through partner organizations in the Pontiac community to try to respond to what our families needed at that time. So sometimes that would mean a Porch Lesson would include a delivery of produce from our partners at Micah 6. Or sometimes it would include a delivery of a hot meal from our partners at Lighthouse. Sometimes it would include helping a family set up internet access through partners at Kirk in the Hills who had a program to support internet. So we really found ourselves in the role as connectors, as being people who had the trust of the families that we worked with, but also had the connections with other organizations who could provide for some of these additional needs that Accent Pontiac isn't necessarily trained to do. And so that has been a really meaningful part of how we've played a role in kind of the collective community over the past year and a half.
Thank you. That's good to hear. I know the night that I visited, Kirk in the Hills was bringing dinner, I think, for your students. Are there any questions from those of you who are on the call? Anything in the chat, Lil?
I have a question. This is Trisha. Hi, everybody. What can we help elevate for you by the way of communication, sharing with our, with our members and with, our followers on social media? Do you have any upcoming events? Are there wish lists or, anything that we can share for you?
I'll go. I feel like I must be extroverted. I always want to go. So we have wish lists. I can send that to the group here. We have an annual event coming up September 23rd, which will be virtual, which is really a heartwarming event because we have real people talking about what their experiences are, and it's very uplifting. I think the other thing is, and what I'm hearing from all of us, is a need for more volunteers overall, and we have different volunteer opportunities. So I think I can send some of that stuff in an email, and maybe all of us can do a little bit of that, and maybe on a regular basis send some things that we might want to lift up. The reality for me as well, because it's not just about Brilliant Detroit, but it's all of us coming together, is what can each of us individually do to make this world better? And I think that there are different things that could be lifted up. So I'll send some stuff over. I have a really cute little book, which is how to improve reading in communities that everybody can do through us or somebody else. And that's what I want to lift up.
That would be great. Yeah, it's because we're really looking for, of course, you guys were our finalists, and Larry mentioned it, that you see us in other places, but our members are really looking, our goals are to connect our members with nonprofits that can use our help in other ways. We've got a lot of time and talents to share, and we'd love to be able to do that for you. Thanks.
Thank you. We have drives as well, so I'm sure everyone does.
Carl, on a going forward basis, is our point of communication as relates to needs, events, ways that Impact 100 can support us, is through you or Lil, or what's our point of contact in that regard?
Yeah, I can speak to that. We so I'm the grantee relations person, and so we are in the process of developing the liaisons. So we have liaisons for each of your organizations. And Larry has developed a Google form where we're going to be collecting all the information and then putting it out to the membership. So we just got the form finalized and are going to be sharing it with all of you. But yeah, we're going to probably funnel it through me, and then I can share it out to the membership through newsletters and different sources that we have. But that's we're building it. We're building it.
So Lil, ultimately, each of our partner organizations is going to have one kind of point of contact. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Blair Miller is Tina's point of contact. And I don't know if I know you guys set up a meeting. Larry Brown is Larry Johnson's contact for Life Builders. And I will be Cindy's contact for Brilliant Detroit. And we have a committee that is going to be collecting all of that information and putting it out. So we have, we just got the process finalized this past week.
So Cindy, your event on the 23rd, what type of event is that?
So it is our annual fundraising event, but it's actually free. And I just think it's a feel-good event because we have the person who actually does a lot of work with the Moth, moderates it. So it's really storytelling, and it's, I'm sure all of us don't always like being on virtual events. This one last year, people said was better than in person. So I think given a world where it's tricky, it's good to feel uplifted. So I'll send that to everyone, and anybody can register for free and just be part of it and hear some good news.
And Tina, you have an upcoming fundraiser too. I think I saw something in an email that came over. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes. So we have an event coming up November 6th, which is Saturday. We do an annual 5K run walk that all of the proceeds support Accent Pontiac's programming. This year, similarly to last year, it will have both an in-person, fully outdoor portion of the event, but there's also a virtual option for people who would prefer to participate from wherever they choose. But the in-person portion of the event will take place in the Kirk in the Hills area. It's a beautiful 5K run or walk around a lake. And we're looking for not only race participants, so if you are a runner or just love a beautiful walk, we'd love to have you join in for this race. And we're also looking for volunteers to help with things like packet pickup for registration and putting signs out and handing out bottles of water throughout the race and those types of tasks. So I did send all of that information to Blair, which I believe has been forwarded to the entire group. So that's one thing we're really excited about, and I'll be sure to share student performances when we get that calendar for the fall and the rest of the school year more solidified. But we would love to have Impact 100 members come and see our students and support them and support their progress and their musical talent, and just see more about what Accent Pontiac is about.
Thank you. Larry, what about you? Do you have anything on the calendar that we should know about?
A couple things, Carla. Thanks for asking. Cindy and Tina, your events sound great. For the past several years, we have held our annual fundraisers in Detroit. We've held them 2 years at the African American Museum and once at the Gem Theater recently. This year in November, we're holding ours at the Ford House in Grosse Pointe. There's a new facility that was just completed in May of this year. And so this will be the first time that we've had our event in the suburbs in many, many years. In addition to that, we have our annual Christmas store, which we call Pride for Parents. It's a store where we collect new items, and we'll begin shortly doing that. And those items are sold in a store environment at one of our locations in the community for about 20% on the dollar, if you will. So a family can come going into a department store environment, if you will. We've been doing this for 10 years. And for $50 to $75, they can have purchased all their gifts new for their family, have them all wrapped, have a festive occasion with food, people being prayed over. It's just been a great event in the community for many years. So those are a couple of the significant things that will be happening, in our community, plus the ramp up of our fall programming, which Lord willing will start in the end of September.
Great. So I guess Lori is your contact, and when you get the details,
Yes.
we'd love to come alongside and support those events if there's a need. So are there any additional questions for our nonprofit leaders today? Or anything else that you guys would like us to know before we sign off?
I just want to say, join us. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for the love and care that you put into things. And also just even like you have book clubs, like, maybe we can even participate in some of what you're reading. I want to throw a book out for myself to you guys, which is a book called Having Nothing, Possessing Everything. A lot of, I think, kind of how we do our work is epitomized in that book. And we didn't do our model off of that. Somebody sent it to us, but I think in the work you're doing and how do we do it and how do we come together as a community, it is a great book.
Thank you. I love the title. Any other comments? So for those of us who want to stay in touch with the organizations or to know more about the organizations, do you have newsletters that we should be subscribing to, or anything that you want us to do from our end that we can stay plugged in?
Absolutely. Sorry, Cindy.
No, you go, Tina, because I'm always talking. Good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, absolutely. We have a newsletter that goes out 3 times a year, and then we send emails just with upcoming event opportunities. So if you're interested in coming to one of our student performances, that's the way to stay up to date with all of those things. The way that members can access that, if you just go to our website, which is accentpontiac.org, you'll see a button to subscribe, and that will get you on that list. And you can also follow our social media, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok if you're on TikTok, but that's mostly for our kids. Just if you search Accent Pontiac on those platforms, you'll see really up-to-date posts on what we're up to.
That's awesome.
Cindy, did you want to share something before we?
Yeah, I was just going to say we have a newsletter. You can sign up by going on our website. And again, I'll get something out to this group just on different opportunities and things like that. And I do want to lift up my colleagues on this call, and also the two that won, because they're awesome organizations, and I think it takes all of us.
For sure, for sure. Larry, do you have a newsletter that we need to be reading on a regular basis?
Same thing as Tina and Cindy, just if you would, just go to our website, you'll have an opportunity to sign up, and we'll keep you informed in terms of what's taking place in the community. And Carla, thanks again for pulling all this together, all of you. Really, this has been great. Just to think that there are so many more people now, that are aware, of the work that's been taking place and is taking place, in the city in so many different forms. There are just some great works that are having great impact, in the city. And the fact that you've touched on a few, there are hundreds more that should be lifted up for the work that they're doing, just to provide helping hands and tender hearts to great needs that are in the community.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for closing with that, because it's true, and it's humbling really to see all that's happening. And we need to be not only aware of it, but God willing, be able to support it. So thank you very much, you guys. Thank you for being here this morning. And with that, I wish everybody a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job, Carla.
Thanks. I was thinking maybe Lil was going to stay on, my co-host, but I think she jumped off. So I'm going to go ahead and, how you doing, Eileen? I have a second interview today at 2:00, so keep me in prayer. Take care.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Bye, Trish. Bye, Suzanne's iPad.